Welcome to the Hedera HashCast, episode 12. I'm your host, Warlock and Key, and today Deepak and I will be talking with Matt Smithies from Dovu. Glad to have you back, Matt.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Captain Warlock.
Thank you. You know, we're thanking each other. You're thanking me. I'm thanking you. Now I always try to start with, well, not always. At first, I had really bad warm-ups that everyone hated, and then I moved on to just random weird questions that people kind of liked. This one's not going to be random. It's going to be a repeated question. And last time I asked this to a guest, I was very disappointed in the answer. So I'm hoping you won't disappoint me. Matt, do you like anime?
Yes. I have a soft spot for Yuri on Ice. That's probably my favorite anime of all time.
Really?
Yes.
My
Funny
favorite
story.
anime
Sorry.
is wait. Oh no! Now we're this going to turn into anime podcast. But please tell me more about Yuri on Ice.
So, obviously, everyone knows I do the kind of skateboard on the side a little bit, and when I competed, I originally came back on to skating like in 2011. And I did some stuff, organised some contests and everything. And in 2013, basically everything, like stopped and do anything else. And basically 2017 came around and I watched Yuri on Ice. And after I watched that season, I was like, I have to go to like Vancouver to skate in this contest. Like it has to happen. And it was like basically a month later. And I basically went on TV, I got in the newspaper, and then I competed in like this Vancouver global skate contest. It's kind of hilarious.
That is insane. I wish, because my favorite anime is Legends of the Galactic Heroes, which I wish I had an anecdote that it connected it to my life, but it's like set hundreds of years in the future, and a bunch of like weird royalty is like trying to, like fascism's trying to get rid of democracy. Doesn't really relate yet.
The question is Pokemon anime?
Yes. I'll give you the answer. Yes. Deepak, what's your favorite anime?
Favorite anime? Cowboy Bebop right now. Yeah, that for sure.
Oh no, Ghost! I'm thinking Ghost in the Shell now. Standalone Complex. Damn it!
That's what I thought you were going to say. That's what I thought.
That's also a great one. Great one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like a normie compared to both of you.
No.
No, there's always deeper and deeper levels. Okay, well, this will eventually morph into an anime podcast. Mark my words. But let's try to steer it back to what this is relevant to. So there have been quite a few recent developments with Dovu. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on? A lot of stuff's been going on.
How far back shall we turn back time?
I mean, we could do like since last time you were on, which was a while ago.
I was in like number
do a little
2 or 3, wasn't
timeline.
I can't remember. Was Staking out then?
No.
Wasn't
No, it wasn't.
No. I
yes.
don't think it was out.
So let's begin at the beginning of the staking time. So obviously, in Q1 we had a couple of goals around releasing the second version of the marketplace. It's still prettier now and more beautified, but like the feature that everyone kind of loves and kind of wants to jump on and was this whole staking platform where, you know, this risk-free, gas-free, contractless staking thing where it would pay you out like Dove tokens every 15 minutes. And so, yeah, that's been a wild ride, slowly bringing on people and then running the kind of the scale tests against that. And we recently opened that up on Monday with the Blood Moon and the HTS Snapshot and all those fun Blood Mode as well. That's a fun one too.
So yes, public staking live.
Yes.
Big deal. Been waiting a long time. I every week or so, someone will watch the episode with you on it. It's our most popular. Hopefully this one matches. And they'll DM me and be like, so, but when's public staking coming out? I'm like, I don't know. I don't work for them yet.
Yes.
Yeah, so people have been really excited for it, so I'm glad it's out because they'll stop bothering me. But you mentioned something about Operation Blood Moon is now live. What is that?
I could continue with staking or go to Blood Moon. It's up to you. What do you want? What does Captain Warlock want right now?
Well, let's see. What do I want? I think we should continue with staking and then maybe cap it off with Operation Blood Moon.
Okay. So,
good,
Operation Blood Moon was basically conceived in the community because it's kind of a joke. It was like, oh, when do you want stake in life? Oh, the next blood moon. And then they looked it up and it ended up being the 16th of May. So I inadvertently set that deadline for us. So it's like, okay, we were the 16th of May, so we have to hit that now. And so it became this whole kind of marketing thing. And it was a lot of fun, kind of jump off that. And, you know, the UST crash just added fuel to the fire, really, didn't it? But generally, the goal of Blood Moon, and this, I guess, this is where the miscommunication is focused around the calculator, where you have to go to the calculator and you have to turn the streets blood red, which is basically switching on blood mode. Instead of dark mode, you have blood mode, and and instead of the hand holding something pretty, it holds the blood moon and it spins, and the Dove token logo like transforms into a teardrop and things. And then from that point, you can actually claim Dove against your Ethereum debt, your carbon debt. And this is a kind of a first foray into kind of a DAO distribution model, migrating users from like Ethereum straight into the Hedera ecosystem. So it's basically an on-ramp for people that haven't seen Hedera before to kind of see, and hopefully not drain our treasury too quickly.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That APY might be dipping.
Yes.
But hey.
But then in parallel to that, we were obviously aware that the majority of the people on Hedera aren't going to have a huge Ethereum debt by transactions. That's kind of obvious. And so we basically took the initiative to say, hey, we want to make sure this community has been so good to us. We're going to do a 10 million Dove snapshot and distribute that to everyone that basically migrated, used Hashbot in that, last month on Earth Day. And that almost went off without a hitch.
I remember the hitch.
Yes. We basically we accidentally distributed 9.8 million Dove in like 5 minutes. And I've been trying to claw it back for the last 3 days.
I missed it. I should have been up at 8 a.m. and slurped it, and then you'd be like, "Hey, can I have some of that back?" And be like, Warlock is offline."
Yeah, pretty much.
Give it back, people. Give it back.
It's actually okay because the actual risk, because the largest whales, you know who you are. Did actually grab it, and I managed to get the bulk of it back very, very quickly. But in terms of like risk profile, it was like 8.4 million was like over the over count, and then currently we're sitting at like 1.3 million that I'm still trying to claim back. But it is what it is. It's experiment and fun in crypto land.
Could have been worse. We'll get it back.
Nah, it's all good. Experimentation.
just like make their staking like zero until it like accumulates back what they owe.
Well, the idea is this isn't a threat, but if the people don't bring it back, I'm just going to turn off their lifetime boost, which is like 20% or like 20x, 1.2 now. So you hear that?
So the Hedera Hackathon has now come to a close. Can you tell us a little bit about Dovu's involvement with the hackathon? Is that allowed?
Yes, that's allowed. Oh my
Okay.
God, I apologize. It's been so long. You should have me on like every week because there'll be something new to say, probably.
I'll just bring it back.
I could
I'll
just be
be,
your only guest constantly.
and then the anime podcast will begin.
um, so it's no, um, it's not, it's basically, it's a kind of a known fact in like Dovu land that we've been trying to search for the core utility of what Dove will do. We used to do redemptions where you could basically trade, redeem stuff with tokens back in a previous iteration. We did actually, for a time, have that for carbon offsets, but we took that out last year. However, you know, when you think about tokens and token utilizations and things, utility, that's a better word. You can do like obviously governance, you can do redemptions, you can do payments, you can do, but that's kind of very kind of middle of the road, and it's a bit like boring and whatever. So I've been trying to solve this puzzle for the last couple of years, trying to bring all my kind of DeFi degenomics to the forefront. And I was on this podcast the other month, and this guy, he was talking about this idea of Bitcoin being financial energy. You can actually control it, and you can move it, and you can actually, if you send some Bitcoin to an address that you can like, because it's backed with money, then it's kind of, because it's cross border, and it's a pretty weird, interesting way of thinking about it. However, when I came thinking about Dave, I was like, okay, if we have farms or kind of carbon removal projects, and people can buy offsets from them, why couldn't they almost provide reputation in the form of staking tokens to almost build up the TVL, total value locked, of a given project? And so let's say there's a farm in Bulgaria or a farm in England, and you look at their LinkedIn credentials, you look at all their evidence, and you really like what they're doing, and you believe in they're going to do good for the world. But you don't necessarily want to buy, but you want to be involved. So you could stake your Dove tokens, lock them up for a time, and actually gain yield from that like kind of locked stake. And that would provide reputation to everyone looking in, because there's 100 people staking their Dove towards this one project. And so maybe there could be a project that gets, let's say, $1 million of TVL, something crazy. But then what if you took that reputation and it also acted as insurance? So the buyers of the actual carbon credits, they would be protected, because every kilogram could be backed by a Dove token. So this idea of, if everything was governed by a DAO, and you could actually interrogate farms, you could have many people making sure that everything was up to scratch. If something went wrong, then you could do a DAO proposal. You could trigger an insurance event, and it would liquidate people equally from the pool to make sure the buyers could actually get Dove tokens as like insurance payouts. And so we've basically built that for the hackathon.
That seems a little involved.
Yes. Like the actual DAO thing is more, the actual DAO thing is not fully realized, because it's more of like a central owner entity thing to prove the concept. But yeah, we had Cozzy and that Charlie guy who isn't going to make it in life. What? Sorry.
Charlie.
Sorry, Charlie.
Yeah. Questions, thoughts, concerns, let me know. And well, off the top of your head, just any. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you worry that people are going to be like, hey, risk, I don't want to do that?
Well, this is the kicker. And this is basically where it's going to go, is that if you stake to a project and you think almost like how HBARPrice works, that this part isn't done, and in return you receive like a token that represents future yield, the reputation of the actor behind the scenes, and it also represents the capital backing your particular position, then you almost get this kind of liquidity token, but like from almost like a single-sided staking point of view. you know? And so you could still move this token around or sell it and buy it or put it on a DEX. However, the interesting thing is when you buy into this pool, you have to pay a little bit of a fee. But if you try to pull it out too early, you could lose 80% of your capital. And if that money flows back into the pool, then the other holders would actually gain from your sacrifice, as it were. And their APYs would actually go higher. Because eventually, the way I'm looking at this working is normal, safer staking that Dovu do, our bread and butter. The staking, the API will always be probably much lower compared to this process. But this process is becoming like a full economy whereby Dove is the vehicle for capital underneath for like insurance and reputation kind of purposes. And if you kind of are involved in this, then you can get higher yields potentially over the course of 3, 4, 5, 10 years.
Do you have any kind of rough timeline when this kind of thing would be out?
I mean, anyone can play with the testnet thing right now, right? However, for us, and my perspective is, it's all about stepping back and basically evaluating what we have, talking to all the different parties involved in the Guardian, because it's kind of nuts, because that's starting to take off quite a lot now. Like, I'm in these weekly meetings with like 45, 50 people, and all these people are trying to build projects off of the Guardian. And the way I want to position this protocol is to say, not only for carbon removal projects, but what if you could add reputation to any project that's created out of the Guardian, and the token you use to do that is the Dove token. And so it's making sure the protocol is fit for purpose for, this serious enterprise stuff, and bridging this gap between serious enterprise work that Hedera is great at and the degenerates of retail, and kind of combine in the middle. And this is the kind of attempt I'm trying to make at it. Timeline, I can't give you a timeline because I don't like to promise.
Yeah, no, it's a good move. It's a good move. And, every time someone has promised a timeline on this podcast, it's ended up bad for me. So don't do it. Don't
and Justin as well.
And Justin.
Sorry, Justin.
Sorry,
Justin Bros.
Justin Bros. They won't feed us any good food at Hedera. We gotta eat ice with hot sauce now. Love you, Justin.
Yes.
So to shift the focus to shilling myself, I heard there was an upcoming CREETS collab with someone.
Do you know anything about that? There is. However, we can tie the Dovu thing after with the extra bits. So yes, Mystic Warlock CREETS and LittleInkStain are doing this little NFT collaboration together. And why should you care, Warlock?
I don't know.
Why should you care?
I don't know.
Why should you care, Mr. Deepak?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, basically on the Dovu side, we have implemented a couple of new multipliers. One is this lifetime one. The other really cool one is this NFT multiplier. So if you hold NFTs or tokens or a collection of NFTs, we can reward you with Dove tokens. And so this is going to be Dovu's first attempt at partnering with a collaboration where you can actually earn Dove yield by holding all of the NFTs that Warlock and LittleInkStain have created as the collection.
So you're telling me that they're gonna buy an NFT associated with me?
Yes.
And it's gonna do something?
Yeah, utility.
Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. I promised my audience, who love the CREETS, that I would never have utility. I don't know what I'm gonna have to. I don't know. This is all new to me. I don't know what I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna say to them. I'm sorry. I failed you. But yeah. I'm super excited about this. There's going to be 5 art pieces, and if you collect all 5, you'll get a Dovu multiplier. Working with LittleInkStain was awesome. As soon as the day, almost like within 2 hours of that first post, announcing that she existed in the space and was going to do NFTs on Hedera and showed some of her art, I was immediately like, I mean, you can check this. Go to my Twitter. You can check this. I was like, collab with me, please. Because I loved her stuff. It's so cool and fun and right up my alley. And putting this together was great. I basically just like looked at a bunch of her art and was like, because I have a weird process for the creation of my CREETS. You can check my Twitter. There's like a pinned video I made explaining it because nobody knew they just thought my art was like just not that good. And they didn't understand I like do it in one session with like pen and paper. And I have a whole thing that I do. Anyway, so I did that inspired by her art. And then she took that and made the art good, which was helpful. And put it in her wonderful style, which is just looks great. I'm gonna put the 5 photos on the screen right now. Sorry, audio only people, but you really only have yourselves to blame.
Yes, you do. You're not going to make it, as the cool kids say.
You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. I'm sorry to tell you. So can you give us any more details about the specifics? I mean, we know there's 5 pieces.
I just want to thank Irvon really, because he was like, yeah, let's do this properly. Let's like, we're doing this multiplier thing. Let's use this as our test bed for future things and collaborations can do with any, token we like. So yeah, it's a kind of big thanks for him for kind of offering this. But other secrets regarding that, we're trying to get an NFT NYC, aren't we, with it?
I didn't know this. I should have like put my logo on the photos like bigger than the art pieces.
I don't know. It might not happen. I'll just have to keep on begging Brady. And
yeah,
Alex.
I mean, I sent my stuff in too, but they're probably going to be like, "What's this?" No, thank you. And then they'll see my weird warlock videos where I pretend to be a warlock and have a silly voice, and they'll be like, "Yeah, no." Mm-mm.
And we're dropping it on Zeus Market, I believe. Yes.
Any confirmation on pricing or supply?
What did we settle on? I think it was $20 a piece.
Yeah. I'm pretending like I know nothing, listeners, because I'm weird, and also like I don't actually have all the final detamany because
we can figure out the final details. We just need to figure out how many editions should we do of each? Aha! Do a little poll.
So community, maybe you're not interested in the art, but you just want number to go up and your staking multiplier to go up, which is fair. What kind of, if you're gonna buy all 5 for $20 each, right? You get a set.
Yeah.
That's your multiplier.
I reckon that the minimum multiplier for this might be 1.1x. So it's 10%, I guess. It might be a little bit higher. It depends how generous we're being. But yeah, the minimum is going to be 1.1x or 1.09, depending on other multipliers that people may have currently and all that madness.
I mean, considering some of these crazy huge whales, I think they're going to spend the small amount of money for the multiplier. I'll tell you that. So, let us know how much demand there is for the multiplier, if not the art. I think the art's really good.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It is like
it's cute, but also off-putting.
Dan, there's nothing else like it.
And I spent a long time thinking of names that had puns. Okay, and if you tell me that my names are bad, I will block you. So don't do it. would hurt my feelings. Moving away. Wait. Okay. Well, before we end shill time, if you'd like to check out either of our projects, please follow LittleInkStain at LittleInkStain, and my thing at CREETS_NFT. I would like it to be at CREETS, but some guy has that. Hasn't used his Twitter account in years. It's like some combination of his first and last name or something. Guy, give it up. What are you doing? What are you doing? Give that to me. I'm using that. I'm not bitter. Moving away from shill.
I mean, at least you got HBARPrice. You're slowly going up in the world.
True. I do have HBARPrice. We might bring the HBARPrice alter ego on the HashCast at some point, and I'll interview him.
How's that been after you swapped and slurped up that tasty handle?
Well, okay. So for people who might not know, at HBARPrice was a notorious fudder, the king fudder in the Hedera space. Very good at fudding. He has that mix of information and then misleading information and comedy. He's good at what he does. He's good at fudding. I mean, we can admit that. And randomly one day he changed his handle name from HBARPrice, which is a good handle name, to like 444 something.
444.ai or something like that.
Yeah, and it's, like, you're gonna listen to FUD from a guy named HBARPrice. I don't know why you'd listen to FUD from crazy 444 man. That's just my opinion. Anyway, I saw that happen and I was like, I started heavy breathing. I went to Twitter. I like searched, does anyone have that? And nobody had that. And I was like, and then the next like 5 seconds felt like 10 minutes where I was just like, change. And I did, and then I did it and I didn't even think that it worked, but it did. Changing your handle is like hidden in the settings, by the way. Anyway, it's been really funny. I need to think of more interesting things to post. Mostly I'm just like, Hedera's a big stinky duty head. Which, I think I can do better. I'm worried that the ghost of the previous HBARPrice is going to possess me at some point, and I will just become a regular fudder, because I think some kind of demon possessed him, because he used to be really pro Hedera, which is, famous heel turn. That's what makes the story so engaging. So he was a Hedera cheerleader, and I'm worried that the same thing's going to happen to me one day. I'm just going to like make the HashCast all about how I hate Hedera or something.
Matt, it was the old. No, I didn't know him, but I know it was the old Earth Tile guy, the Earth Tile project and things like that, wasn't it? Yeah, I never actually met him.
But have you interacted with him at all in any capacity?
No.
Do you know
that's probably why he turned, because I didn't talk to him. you hear it
my
first.
birthday party.
Oh dear.
Do you know what happened and that made him, switch, or?
No. I think
I've heard rumors.
Yeah, I heard that he wanted funding from Hedera to maintain the Telegram that he created for Hedera.
Yeah, and it was sort of run on Hedera.
Yeah. My theory is that he's trying to FUD people out so he can buy more. I think that's what it is. Why would you just suddenly turn like that?
I don't know. So the weird thing is, sorry, Matt, please.
So none of us know the answer, but it can be, a lot of people do turn like that if they're over leveraged and the price crashes, and then they can't pay rent. That tends to happen.
True.
That is true.
True. What was weird is what was funny is like when he saw that I had the handle, he like made a tweet really fast, like, we are not affiliated with the new HBARPrice. And I like post a picture of the warlock being like, not yet. Us villains need to stick together. But he never responded. He hasn't blocked me though, which is nice. I mean,
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of respect for the commitment he puts into his FUD. You have to if you're watching
you have
him.
to. I mean,
But I do not have the respect for the shilling he started to do for that other chain. What's that other chain?
Hex.
Hex, yeah. He started to do some Hex shilling, and it's the way he types about it is weird, like, massive opportunity, 10 times easy. You're crazy if you're missing out, like stuff like that about Hex. So I think he's getting some money.
Hex, or is there a chain Hex?
It's that Ponzi scheme, the Ponzi
yes.
Hex, the very old Richard Hart, I think, is the head of it.
Yeah, I mean that basically, like, between Hex and Woo and Wise, that was the inspiration for this Dovu utility we made. But actually it's connecting it to something that's real, It's a little Ponzi scheme.
What if we did that, but not a Ponzi?
Exactly. What if you connected it to something of value? Like, oh, that would work. But it's not a Ponzi, I think.
Let's hope. Well, if it's not a Ponzi, man, I got to ask. I'm waiting for all these big tech companies to be buying up everything off of Dovu. What is that in the realm of possibility in the future?
As in offsets.
Yeah.
So the problem we have is the problem that everyone else has, is that there is not enough verified supply to meet demand, even for like Microsoft. Like, there is not enough supply in the world just to meet Microsoft's like what they want from a carbon offset. And so, and this is a couple of problems, is that imagine we're trying to talk to farms, and in order to kind of get carbon from farms, it's a kind of sales process for every single farm. So that's not scalable. And so you need to find another way, maybe through agents or maybe through something else, in order to get like other supply through. But, it's a whole process trying to find, onboarding carbon, making it as simple and as accessible as possible. And these are the things we basically battle with every single day. The thing is, if we had the supply, we would have big buyers. Yes. But that's really the problem that everyone is facing. And obviously tools like the Guardian and what it's going to evolve and grow into is going to help, the entire ecosystem, obviously on Hedera and obviously through other agnostic chains, as it were. So it's a process.
Well, with the Avery Dennison news coming out and all this Guardian usage, it's blown my mind. I'm really excited to see what'll come of it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a beast.
Yeah, it's no secret that I'm not exactly a Hedera expert, and the first time I heard about the Guardian was when we first brought Justin on, which was like our third episode or something.
Yeah.
And I just nodded. I didn't really understand what was going on. I just nodded. But I did later read things and do research, especially in preparation for the interview I had with Wes Geisenberger. So now I know things, and it's crazy in my little timeline, like how much it's coming up and people talking about it.
I think it's kind of interesting because I was probably the first developer to see the Guardian code after the core team kind of did their first. It was this beta thing, and so I've been following it for probably about a year now. And it's like anything else, it's a bleeding edge software product, and everything is trying to be built up to kind of fit for production needs. But it blows me away. Like I said, we're getting on these calls with people every week, and there are literally dozens of projects, 50 people in this call trying to discuss like the specifications and the standards of how messages should be formed in the HCS topics and stuff, like just down to the nitty-gritty level and things. And it's like, if you have that much attention and that much demand for what you're doing, then no matter how long it takes, this product is going to be, is going to make it in some form or another.
Finally, something on Hedera works. Oh, what was that? What was that? I felt a chill. What was I saying? Anyway,
apart from Dovu works all the time, so
yeah. Well, have you heard of Hex?
Oh my lord.
I love that guy. No ill will, no ill will against him, to be honest. I'm not like, stop it, I think he's going to get more and more irrelevant, honestly, because of the name change. Because, like I said, a 444 man has bad opinions about Hedera. Okay. So I'll try to take up the mantle for you, bud. Is there anything exciting coming up on the horizon for Dovu? What do we have to look forward to?
Probably so many things. Oh, actually, this is a cool thing. So obviously we've got our new multipliers. We've got we're working through the Guardian, trying to work and get that integrated into our offsets. That's been a whole thing for the last like 6 months or whatever. But one thing to note is on the kind of Operation Blood Moon side of things, it's not just going to be a single claim. Well, it's going to be a single claim. When you plug your Ethereum wallet in and you kind of have this identity where it combines your HTS wallet, your email, your Ethereum, then we can do something really, really cool, which is to say, at any time in the future, if you're on Ethereum or, Binance Smart Chain or, Polygon and you buy any kind of assets and hold ESG related assets, we could take snapshots of those. And we could do like not only just on the Hedera side, being able to collaborate with any project on the network, but we could also collaborate and bring in users from, all the other chains if you've kind of connected up through Blood Moon. So instead of just having like a single DAO distribution, there will be many. And there will be many opportunities for other communities to come over, kind of play with Hedera, and hopefully like what we're doing at Dovu and not dump our tokens.
Yeah. I mean, if someone just uses like, the thing I think about all the time, because I do NFTs. Speaking of which, something I forgot to mention about the collab is that half the profits are going to charity. Big deal. They're specifically going to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, which charity I picked because I went to there as a young lad and, met some great mentors who changed my life. And I really want to give them money because, well, I don't have a lot of my own money, but if at least we can get this money, I can give that to them, which will be great. So 50% goes to charity. Glad I clarified that. What was I saying before? Right. So because I send NFTs to people and it's just like so fast, so efficient, Hedera was my first network I interacted with. Previously I just bought stuff, held it on exchanges. That was it. And it was the first network I saw being used. And, I was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, it's fast and cheap. That's cool. And, but I didn't know how fast and how cheap it was until I had to use Ethereum to port my Dove over to Hedera. And oh my gosh, it was awful.
Yeah.
So if we can get these people to just use it for one thing, I think they're going to be like, whoa.
This is the whole thing. Like, obviously, when we have more supply and people can buy more stuff, then that'll be fantastic. But at the same time, like, one of our partners is Climber. And like, I would love to, to collaborate with that community and for them to come over and see us and actually port the Dove and actually experience the power of Hedera and Dovu and stuff within that context, and there is, so much value over that side of the fence. And like when we think about, because ultimately, as much as we love Hedera, the community isn't going to make it successful. What's going to make it successful is inflows from other networks. Layer ones have, like a pattern as DeFi comes into play, as things become more accessible, and as you can port contracts over on all those kind of fun things. That's when the attention starts to come. And so at Dovu, we're trying to really position ourselves to be the first, one of the premier dApps on Hedera that utilize the speed, the efficiency, and all that fun stuff to kind of bring people over before that madness begins.
And I think you've been achieving that, at least from what I've seen. I think the HBAR Foundation called you their flagship project or something.
I don't know.
maybe something like that.
A humble man for sure.
Humble
man. Anyway.
All right.
So,
well, I could continue rambling with Matt here for a long time, but I think that's a nice little stopping point. So let's go ahead and bookend this baby. I'd like to thank Matt for agreeing to be here. I really appreciate it, as always. Free to come back anytime. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, following us on Twitter at Hedera HashCast, and supporting us via Patreon by buying one of our patron NFTs. You can also get the same benefits as people on Patreon. You get early access to the podcast, as well as admittance to a private community where I drop early info and take feedback or potential questions for guests. I also joke with you a lot, sorry. Thank you for listening and for helping to build a consensus in the Hedera community. Thank you to our patrons: ABFT, FTW, Moon88, Charlie Go, and DJ.